PDFs. You can have a stick of things, but it has to be JPEGs or BMPs. So we'd have to be very picky on our formats.
Okay.
But once you put it on and it's USB 2.0, but I mean, hello, this is kind of old school stuff
Yeah.
that we have here anyway. But we could have people bring in their applications. All of the stuff the select board does could be put on a USB. You could put it up on the TV and just simply click through it with the remote.
Okay.
Which would, I think, we'd want to test it, but we could do that. Melissa would be typing, any other person could click through.
Yep.
You know, here's an intent to cut, here's some correspondence we're talking about, here's a plan that the planning board is talking about. So I just offer that as part of the technology to the town, because I think it would be very helpful. Oh, does Christie do anything more with the website? I'm gonna remove her as an administrator.
Okay.
I didn't think so. I figured you're the one who was doing all of it. cannot use the structure, and change the assessment mid and prorate that over the amount of days that they can't use the structure while they're waiting for insurance and FEMA or whatever else. So they wouldn't have to pay taxes on it because
Paying taxes on a home.
right, that they can't live in.
But you'd want to have the insurance company come first because you would want the full price of your insurance.
No,
Right.
they're the insurance company's gonna see it. This is just, you have to file this application with the town and city within 60 days, or it doesn't affect you. And it's not going to take their assessment away, it's rating it due to the damage that's been incurred,
Gotcha.
so that their second tax bill would be reflective of the damage, rather than, you know, if they have a $400,000 home and a $100,000 land, then the 400,000 would be reduced by the amount of damage, so their tax bill would be reflective of that. Anything is helpful when you're waiting a year for insurance and however long for FEMA.
Yeah, years and years and years.
So saving that tax bill.
Yeah. That was really fast. Might need one of those.
Yes, one of these,
Thing.
yep, there's 2 or 3 things there. Those are instructions, and I found when we were working on the web, and I'm going to make you an administrator, so you're gonna have to give me a personal email or something like that, because your TOC is gonna change, unless that's the one you wanna use, and you have to change it. I will email Civicware and Civic Plus and have them put you on the website.
So my personal email is missi7678@gmail.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just think it makes so much sense for you and Paul to be involved in the web. You're getting all the updates from all the boards and commissions, and Paul works here, so everything can be done, you know, right then and there.
Yep.
I kind of see them doing different things. Then I'm at work and I gotta wait till a break, or I get home and I ask Ed, I'm like, hey, what's going on here, you know? So, I saw you out there checking the sign to show this. And Bruce Jasper had sent me that notice Monday,
Yeah. And I was like,
but you didn't know. So we want to make sure that this is one of the things when I do those, that I not only post them on the calendar, but I send you an email so you can sign as well.
yeah.
And then you do the minutes, so as soon as they're approved, you could be uploading the minutes that night.
Yep.
That would be fantastic. I mean, that's great. Or agendas, so that as soon as you get an agenda, those could be posted.
Yep.
I only just have to figure out all the email. Yay.
Yeah, I heard you talking about, they kind of came back and they were like, oh, you didn't tell us it was a business.
Yeah.
That kind of sunk that.
Yeah, what do you mean? Well, it's a municipality, we'll have to charge a business price. I'm like, what? You guys knew I was a municipality. You've known I was a municipality since I started, you know.
Yeah, the account name is Town of Croydon. What the
Yeah.
hell?
It was Town of Croydon. How do you not know? So I contacted Civicware, and said, you know, what do you do? He's over here, but.
I had it open. I
think-
thought it was the squirrel getting smarter.
Yeah, no, I think that Bruce did it. How are you?
You sitting there?
Not at all, sir. It's all yours.
Oh, thanks.
So those are the manuals. I printed them all out.
I didn't hear you well.
I printed all the manuals
Oh,
out. Those are
good
for
deal.
you.
I think I got them, but I haven't looked at them in ages.
So I went ahead and I kind of went through and did my homework, but don't make it look like you did. And I pulled from Raymond, Derry, and Manchester's website for what their, because they all use Civic Plus, and what their town clerk and tax collector pages like. So I just I built out what I think like the different sections that I want to have. And then because there's the option to do like the little tabs at the bottom where you can click on them and it expands on those ones. So for like the town clerk one, including the dog licenses, marriage, death, divorce certificates, and marriage licenses, which I need to start pushing, like, hey, if you're gonna get married here, because it's actually one of the only things that we can use as like a revenue generator. Because marriage licenses, the town keeps 100% of those. So it's $50 per marriage license, but typically they want more than one copy. One's gonna go help change their name, it's gonna go wherever. And it could be, $100 to $200 a pop. So trying to get people to know, like, hey, as long as you contact the office beforehand, it's just an opportunity for us to create that revenue stream and let people know that we actually can do those services. And then the only other one was like election information, which right now no one knows what's going to happen. So it's just like I might as well build it and put it there and put TBA or. And then there's some stuff on the tax collector stuff, like the New Hampshire Homeowners Assistance Fund, the DP8 that's available. Like, if you need help filling out your DP8, contact the office. Elderly exemptions and abate, or like elderly veterans exemptions, and then assessing frequently asked questions. I get a lot of people asking, like, oh, if I do a building permit, do I need to let the assessors know? And it's like, no, if you pulled a building permit, they're gonna know. It's gonna come up on their stuff. So there's a few things where it's just like, at least for the town clerk and the tax collector side, just inform people about what the office can do. And then hopefully maybe down the road, being able to have the ability to accept payments online. I reached out to Stacy, who is the tax collector in Derry, and she does, they use the EB2 Gov.
EB2 Gov.
Yep, in order to do all of their, even registrations, so documents and registrations. I reached out to Avatar because there's a module that we can add onto the Avatar services for dog
Kiosk.
licensing.
Yep.
It's $5,900 a year.
Yeah.
How much?
$5,900 a year. And I was like, we have 300 dogs in town. There's no way I can justify those costs. So it's just like, thanks for the information, guys. I'll be sure to pass this along.
Did you talk to them about tax collecting for Avatar? Because they have a module just for tax payments. At
Yes.
the kiosk.
Yep.
That people go to their portal. It's totally.
There was one that was a standalone one that Derry uses that I have no idea what this was. And then the Avatar one that you're talking about, Raymond uses. So like when I paid my mom's taxes this year, I was just able to go online, type in the map and lot number, boop, done. So I want to know what that looks like on the other side of it, whether or not that we have to, if we're making more work for us on what, and the treasurer, so that hopefully it's something that we can just implement and not be like, oh my God, we're making so much more work. for
Right,
us.
and have to go behind the scenes and match everything up and pull our.
And then, because it's at that point, it's like, if that's what the software does and it's just creating, it's the same amount of work, other than, the ease of people being like, oh, I can pay my taxes online. If it's not broken, don't fix it, I guess. But I'd really like to be able to use that trust fund balance with $129,000 for the new town hall. I'm gonna try and word it so that, it says to either renovate the existing town hall or create a new town hall. Well, why don't we create a new digital town hall where people can interact online and be able to do those things and not necessarily have to come in, especially for, the non-residents who are here for the summer and the Lake Campground, the ability for them to come and pay their $6.14 or for their campground would be a whole heck of a lot easier for them if they could just go on, click a few buttons and be done with it.
Chat with Susan.
Okay.
She's the trust funds.
Oh, I already did. So
Okay.
she was like, you need to figure out whether or not, who the agents to expend are, or wait until town meeting. So we're gonna have to wait until town meeting. So I'm gonna have to do some work at some of the upcoming meetings in order to put together a plan as to what that will look like. And then hopefully just hearts and minds.
It's not saying no, it's just saying, here's the person to talk to that should be able to give you some advice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I did. I was like, who's an agent to expend? Because she was just like, oh, yeah, you could do all of that. And I was like, okay. She's like, you just have to go back. So digging in books and figuring out what we can do and what we can't do.
Right.
So it looks like we're gonna have to wait until a town meeting. So I'm just gonna have to do a good enough job convincing people that this is something that we need and want to be able to use that.
And it's just, it's getting all the questions answered as much as possible.
So that they don't have them when they're voting on that.
Put together the presentation for the warrant that says who, what, where, when, why, how, and all the other tidbits behind it.
Will this affect the tax rate? Will it do this? Will I be able to do X, Y, and Z? How long will it take to roll out this? If we do go with the digital stuff.
I only wanted to bring the town into the 19th century.
Skipping over it, yeah, I would suggest having a selection of a couple of meetings on it. Definitely, that way.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna put breadcrumbs and hopefully they follow along. So
absolutely. But going back to the page, so I think we could easily make it. There's those sidebars. We can put it on a sidebar. You can say frequently asked questions. You open it up, gives you a list, and goes to all kinds of other things. Any of the other information you want. So as you're looking at the page, all the information is there on a sidebar. And it's a blue tab. Click on it. Click here for this. Click here for that. And as you click it, it opens up a whole new tab. A whole new page that's just dedicated to each one of those dog licensing, all dog license information is all right there with all links just for dogs. Your tax collector, the same kind of a thing. Some of the stuff that you have on the tax collector page should probably be on the Board of Selectmen's page because they're actually the assessors by law.
Yep.
So they should be the ones that have the application for the exemptions, the credits, the timber, the excavation.
So maybe we'll end up building up that page, and then what we'll do is I'll just link it from that one over to that, so that we don't have like double records of.
Right. Yeah, it'll just be a link. For this, you would go here, and it'll just say bring these to the town clerk's offices during regular business hours.
So this is what it is now. This is just on the view page, and then if you look at Derry's, see how it has the sections.
That's exactly what I want to do. All down, every single one of them would be like that.
Yep.
And for elections, I think a whole separate department for election officials.
Yes.
And list the election officials and list what it is that they do and have the appropriate RSAs there.
Yep.
And any election information should go there and link it off your page. So we're only updating the election officials page.
Yep, and not having to do it in multiple locations. Okay. I'm glad that we understand that work. I didn't want to have to. I didn't know what we were walking into. Like, okay, well, we have to do it 4 times.
No,
you have to do it once.
No, I only want to do it once.
It's something I learned a long time ago with programming. KISS, keep it simple. Don't build yourself into this
nightmare
of stuff to update multiple places. Do it only one place if you can figure it out.
Okay.
The new programming stuff makes it too easy to scatter stuff everywhere.
Yeah, no, everything, and we need to make sure we're all on the same page when it comes to naming conventions and how we do things so that we have consistency across the site.
Yep. Now, there is a group out there that will monitor your website and flag those inconsistencies and stuff. It costs money, obviously, but it's something to think about in the future if there's, if you get it complex enough, it's the type of service that can be had that
So
actually makes it better, because then everybody, even though they're trying to work the same way, people make mistakes,
Mhm.
but this type of setup is put in there on protect from those mistakes.
yeah, there's a few software and other tools instead of like paying like a firm that we can implement to. There's a few like web crawlers and a few even just submitting our sitemap to Google. What they'll do is they'll end up being like, hey, this link is broken. This doesn't look right. You have 4 instances of this and you don't need that. So there's definitely ways that we can do that without necessarily conflict conform. But you're right. There's tools out there that will simplify a lot of that. Whether it can be, I don't know. I used like ScrapeStorm, and there's Google Sitemaps is one to see if you have any dead links on your webpage, because they don't like that.
No, that's a very good one. I want to make sure I used to trawl the websites that I picked up. I would just take a department and just start clicking on links and
Mhm.
just do it. That gets very tiresome.
It's hard to keep up with it.
Yeah, you're like, oh.
I can only imagine, especially in the city.
Yeah, no. So my big thing right now is the email issue. We have to get some emails. So the Two Cows Enom that has our website domain name were very great, and they were talking to me and everything was working well. And then I asked them, so is there any kind of a discount for municipality? And they were like, oh my gosh, you're a municipality, you're a business, we can charge you more. Well, I took exception to that. So we're back looking for email solutions.
I'm surprised that for towns our size and with a $35 million surplus, that there isn't some kind of state like issue baked into the cake, like, hey, you guys are a town, here's all the laws that you have to follow. Here's the suite that you guys can use in order to be able to do that.
That's something we could start with the county commissioners to work on. And if nothing else, instead of state, be county.
Okay.
And what do we got? 14 towns in Sullivan County, and most of them are like us, tiny, with few resources. In fact, I think about 3 years ago, when a couple of the commissioners showed up to kind of introduce themselves at one of the select board meetings, and we kind of highlighted that at that point that either the state or the county ought to be behind web pages for everybody, and never heard anything back from them. I realize they've got a lot going on, but that would be a tremendous help for all little towns.
Yeah. No, and I think that you're right. Probably instead of just being one town, is getting with the towns of all of our size in the county and really pushing, being like, we need this infrastructure here.
So which email providers were you checking with that also changed their tune of how much?
So Enom and Two Cows, who are the domain holders of Croydon-NH, they're resellers. And while they provide an email service, and it was a fairly decent email service and really cheap, they didn't want to deal with a municipality. We could do Google and do it absolutely free and put it up there ourselves, but then we have to be concerned with the 91A protocols.
Yep.
So we truly need an email service that is going to host it and keep it on a web some type of
Mhm.
server, so we can always go back and get all of those emails. And I would also like to find somebody that's going to service that email, provide us with service for those emails so that we have that two-factor authentication. And if we end up having somebody leave, they will immediately shut down the email for us, take that email, forward it to someone else until we have somebody else that's going to pick up for that email.
Okay.
Because I was looking into Proton,
Mhm.
and that was gonna cost us, I think for 4 actual email addresses, it was gonna be like, I think it was about $400 to $500 a year.
We need more than 4.
Well, this is what we were trying to figure out, because
Yes.
when I first asked them, I was thinking about 10, and it was gonna be like 1,000. It's about $100
An email a year.
email. Now, that's when somebody was saying, well, we should be a .gov and start looking about that.
I sent the, to the thing, and then Aaron, McKeon had said to me that, oh, a lot of those are resellers that package it and make it look like they're doing this and that. And I was like, I don't know, this one might be, I'm hoping that this one's real, but if they come back and like, oh, great, so you've been approved and it's gonna cost X, I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
I hope that that's not the case, because honestly, when we have multiple Croydon.coms out there, it's hard to know which one is actually, especially for the layman who's just throwing Croydon NH into a Google search engine. And we want to make sure that the information that we're presenting is obviously timely. We can't control that other website, but with the .gov kind of really says, we're the authority here. So I'm hoping that that pans out.
Yeah, I would love to go with a .gov. It is more official, it is more what we want. I don't know what to do with the emails. I did reach out to, I talked to civic people, and I said, so this is my conundrum, this is where I am. And they gave me a couple of smaller towns that had email providers and servers. So I reached out to Marlow was one, I forget the other 2 names, and hopefully I'll hear back. They don't have IT. They're that small. They don't.
Well, you're listed as the IT department on, like, it's like, okay, yeah. And when we had with the, that we use for the registrations, I called the state because I was like, oh, it says property state of New Hampshire. I'm like, I gotta let them know they gotta send us a new one. And they were like, no, we don't do that anymore, and contact your IT department. And I was like, it was the most dismissive, like, I was like, I am the IT department. Like, what do you mean contact them? I'm contacting you. Yeah, so.
But, they can get back to me and we'll see what they've discovered on this. But I'm having difficulty going through all the emails because I have limited amount of time to deal with it live during the week. So I think if a couple of us could be working simultaneously on pulling together as much email information as we can, I think that might give us better working.
Well, let me ask a couple questions about the existing email right now. We basically have 3 email accounts. There's the select board at
Croydon.
selectboardcroydon@hotmail.com.
Oh.
That's pretty much the busiest one. There's the Croydon New Hampshire Mail Spring one. There's the other one that, well, that one gets forwarded to the first one. And I forget what the other one is.
The TCB one, right? Mine.
Well, that's a separate account. Yeah, I was talking about just the generic.
Oh, sorry.
So those are the ones that need to be looked at.
Yeah,
And
I don't know of a third one unless it gets fed to the other one. But I just have those two that I check.
so you're checking both of those?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And Paul has town clerk.
Mhm.
So,
And then different people have their own emails as
Mhm.
well.
but therein, so if we have select board, so we have, do we want each selectman or select person to have their own email? They're not gonna check it. I mean, and they shouldn't be. It should go to a generic email that Melissa picks up.
Mhm.
So it should be selectboard@Croydon NH or croydonnh.gov, whatever it's gonna be. And the same thing with planning, it should be one email. I know a lot of websites have all the people listed, and that's fine, we can list all the members, but it should be for a contact, it should be a generic department
Yep.
email.
Agreed. Agreed.
Because that'll keep our storage to a smaller amount. It'll make sure that people are getting notified because the administrative assistant is going to be reading and notifying.
And even at that point, if there's a generic email that sets up, we can even set up, I don't think it's actually called aliases, but we can actually set up so that if an email goes there, it's to everyone else's personal email. And then from there, we can just build that system out, but only utilize those ones. So if someone who does have a personal email that is active, that does use it, and wants to be able to see that and see that comes to them, we can, I think we can't, but this,
I think
again,
we
it's the
can,
implications of 91A.
But it's the yeah, it's 91A. If we do that, then we have that, everybody would have to start bringing in everything. So it's best that it go to one person.
And then it's sandboxed and not touching other people's
Right.
personal stuff. So I just, on the New Hampshire City and Town Clerks Association Facebook page, I just asked them for smaller towns who uses, what are you guys using for email servers and what are you guys doing for pricing?
Okay.
Just so that they're really responsive with that.
So the way Grafton County Fish and Game does it,
Okay.
you've got the website, and you've got emails that go president, Grafton County, vice president, et cetera. It's a selection of them. And those are simply placeholders, so it forwards it to, well, in my case, the VP, it sends it to me,
Mhm.
but it still goes to that
Okay. Yep.
that place first. And that way, when somebody changes position, you don't have to change the whole email structure, you just change where the forwarding is from within it.
And we can do that. That's easy to set
Yeah.
up. It's the same thing. We can set up an email so everybody has the same email. Yes, sir.
I had a question.
Yes.
How would the universal Board of Selectmen email work out with our particularly delegated tasks? I think that would potentially overwhelm the system
But that's what I'm doing now.
to an extent. I mean, I'm not saying I get a ton extra emails that nobody sees, but there are emails that I send in correspondence regarding smaller matters that don't necessarily need to go through.
Are you using your personal email? Or
It is the town, it is my personal email that is set up specifically for town.
Okay, okay, as long as, yeah,
No,
that's
no,
the big
it's not
concern.
there with all my Bass Pro Shops and all that. It's not there with all that junk. It is specifically town stuff.
Okay.
that I have no problem. I would voluntarily give that email to anybody and let you look through whatever you want, password, whatever, I don't care. But I think that it could potentially overload the assistant having to sort through more emails on top of what she already does.
But would this take the place of that? Because I think you're always gonna have sort of people contacting you as a selectman personally,
Mhm.
just as they'll go to Amy and they'll go to Joe, they'll
Sure.
knock on Joe's door. So I don't know if this is more for
Just
the
tell. Yeah.
website, the general, but my thought is you will still keep that, because if I get an email in the select board email box, I can forward it to that email
Yes.
because it's directed to you.
And obviously, anything that needs anybody else's attention or should be forwarded to the rest of the board, I do that.
Yes, yes.
But
Yep, and
if somebody asks me a simple question via email, I don't necessarily think that you need to funnel it through and then send it to me, and then I send it back to you, and then
No.
you send it back to me. I think that's just unnecessary waste of time for you, and just
Agreed,
more to the plate if you don't need.
agreed.
That's all.
So we said 10 emails approximately,
That's what I thought of
Yeah.
originally.
but who? And I don't mean specific people, I mean which position?
So, the different like departments, I would
Yeah.
imagine,
we've got select
Have
board,
you been?
planning board.
We do, but
Yeah, we
it's a
do.
private, it's a separate business. So I
Okay.
think we would just send to her business and not necessarily have to be on our email.
So trustees.
Yep.
There's no code enforcement.
We got ZBA, we got
ZBA.
planning board. We've got the highway department, but, and we've got transfer station.
Highway transfer, health as
Does
well.
anybody
But
contact the transfer station other than through the select board?
No,
no,
I'm just putting all of these.
No,
departments-
I know,
okay.
I'm just questioning and thinking out whether,
Yeah.
the biggest question people have is sometimes if the transfer station is closed or not, and that should be just simply
Right on the
posted
page.
right on the
Yeah.
main page.
So I don't think the highway department or the transfer station would need an email address.
The highway department may, if they're working on getting quotes and stuff, so that they get them straight back to them.
Okay, so maybe.
So it's a
that's
possible.
JB.
But it all depends on how tech savvy people are, because Joe doesn't like to deal with email.
Yeah, the last thing that I want to do is like foist technology up on people that
Right, no,
don't do it, don't want to do it.
And if we post an email on there, then everybody's gonna be emailing him, and that box is gonna get full answered, and everybody's gonna be upset about that.
exactly.
And then,
yeah,
you know,
I'm just
hear about it at select board.
posing some of these things and making sure we
Mr.
look at
Ed.
it from both sides.
I think that as far as the highway department goes, just my personal 2 cents is that if it's regarding estimates, quotes, anything monetary anyway, it's probably going to get brought back to the select board. So funneling it through there initially probably won't hurt.
Certainly at
That's
this
just
point.
That's just my opinion.
No,
Yeah,
that's the way we've been doing it pretty much in the past, because Joe calls and gets quotes, and then I tell him to have it forwarded to the select board email so that we can see it and, make decisions, come up with questions, answers, everything else.
So I'm at 7.
Election officials. I would have Bruce, the moderator, take that email.
Yeah, he runs elections.
We're gonna have a page for the election officials. They're gonna wanna ask questions, and he's the one who should handle that.
Town clerk and tax, we can
Yep.
combine those two.
Yep. Unless you want to,
I mean, you kind of know, looking at it, what stuff goes into different buckets, and if it's just as easy as me organizing it into, oh, this is clearly, just flagging it as like, oh, this is tax, this is town clerk. And then we can maybe save a couple dollars, but.
Is there any kind of RSA that says they have to be separate though?
No, it's quite the legal quagmire of grayness, but
Okay.
that's why you do timber now.
Okay. Mhm.
I wonder if the New Hampshire Municipal has any specific guidance on email operations and stuff.
NHMA.
It's another one to ask. I'll let you contact them. They should know who he is.
Smarty
They
pants.
sure do. He's his name's on most stuff.
Here's my sign.
All right, so, under 15 emails.
I'm under 10. What do you have that
Government
I don't?
management of email. What's in your establish how to appropriately handle email messages and personal accounts. How that constitute government messages. No, that's not quite it.
I have select board, planning board, town clerk, tax collector is one, treasurers, trustees, ZBA, highway maybe, and election officials. What else do you have?
That's what I've got.
So that's 7, possibly 8.
All right, so 10, if we don't have everybody having their own individual emails. So the questions are going to be, okay, if we do 10, that's great. If we go more than 10, do we get a better price? What happens if we're at 10 and we want to add, if we end up adding? Those are all
And
valid.
I want to find out something about, I'm going to check with Mike, the guy that does the stuff for the Grafton County. If sub emails are actually just something they can create and not actually be separate email accounts, so they may not charge the same. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that unless you're working with this stuff, you don't always know even how to ask the right question, get.
Yeah, because you're right. So you may just be like, we need 10 emails. And it's like, well, you actually
So I'm
only
gonna-
need 5 and do
Yeah.
some stuff on the back end so that, everybody's getting messages that they need.
Yep. So I'm gonna check with Mike, see what he can tell me.
Okay.
Plus find out who the provider is our club uses. I don't have a
Yep.
clue,
Yeah, that would be great. You can contact them. I should hear back from the other towns. You should hear back the town clerk.
Mhm.
Facebook.
And then on a longer term thing, the Sullivan County Cooperative Extension Office is getting a new community and economic development person. The prior one worked very diligently to promote the idea of the Sugar River region. And that's got its own, drivers and stuff. And hopefully this new will be picking up, adding to it, because part of what's the desire is there's a lot of things that are available in Sullivan County and people don't know about it, and even touristy stuff. So they're trying to make it, something that's easier to market as well. And at the same time, they're having to develop the web pages and everything else. So let's see if we can't push the county to do some of that stuff.
Yeah,
Yes,
or
there's
just
something.
piggyback off of it. I mean,
Yeah,
if they're gonna use
exactly.
pictures of our town on their website.
Well, on that Sugar River, region, there should be
A link.
links to each of the towns. Well, a nice little picture on there and some quick little things like, we got one of the oldest YMCA camps in the country and things like that.
Places to fly fishing. The county commissioners, when they came in, it also said too, we sent them our website, they'd link it on their website. So we can send them our website and.
Yep. And see as how, as part of the group of us that were doing the interviewing, it was George Hebert, who's commissioners, and a couple of other people there. Now I can go talk to them a little bit easier, so maybe we can get some more activity going in our direction. And it would help other towns too. Because if it's gonna benefit us, it would help benefit Washington, Leominster, Goshen, all these other little towns that are probably going through the same thing we are. I know from when I first started investigating websites, I think Goshen, the whole website is done by a volunteer.
Mhm.
And, you know, I don't even know if it's the actual town's website, so I think we're making the right moves and improving it and going ahead, so we'll get there.
Absolutely.
They don't use Civic Plus.
Claremont's the biggest town, I think.
They're the city.
City.
They're the only city in Sullivan County.
So you've got familiarity with the people there.
Yep.
And what goes on.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Scott and Chris and see. They do, there's an IT department in Claremont, and they do all of that. They assign the email addresses, and it's through Outlook. So what they have is they have a license on their Microsoft products. And they use those
And that's
licenses.
something that somebody was saying we could do as well, but then we have to have somebody that's knowledgeable to do it. So would that be cheaper? Probably not.
Well, yeah, you have to buy a license, and then you have to license each one of these. So,
Yeah.
you know, we'd have to have,
So that's why everybody goes this other way of having a provider.
I don't know if you can get, so using Outlook,
Yeah,
I don't know if you get Outlook with 10 licenses. I don't know if you can buy Outlook. I know you can buy Outlook only,
yeah.
but can you buy it as a 10 license? Something to look at. But then where would we put it? We'd
Yeah,
have to have a server here.
Oh, true. Very, very.
and what we have now for an IT support, CCI, is, well,
There's IT support.
I'm not sure
They're
what they really
ridiculously
do.
expensive, and I don't know what they do.
Yeah,
Basically, I think they're just running the firewall and keeping viruses out and stuff like that, pretty much real generic based stuff.
You could do that with ESET.
we use ESET.
Yeah, so.
The ESET's yelling at me at the computer. This is out of date. I'm like, okay, refresh the
So,
okay. Yeah, I'd be curious to see just take an inventory of what are the costs of the IT department of the town. And then what our impact on the budget would be if we move forward with emails, or if we move forward with, you know.
at
how
this point, from what
does that look like?
what I really know about what I've asked and gotten information, what you are kind of doing from other providers, you know, it's not going to impact our budget much, but start getting a bigger and better system, obviously the cost is going to go up.
Yeah. Well, my concern is the implications on the tax rate. We're so fragile at our.
Well, think of it this way. For every $100,000 you spend,
Dollar on the tax rate.
$1 on your taxes.
Yeah, so that's.
So I don't think we're going to get anywhere near 100,000. So if we get.
No, but if
for every 1,000, it's a penny.
Yeah, so, but if
And
the argument that, oh no, it's only a couple $1,000s, well, it's 5 cents on the tax
I'm very
rate.
cognizant of
Yeah.
that.
But in the aggregate, if you put, you know, a couple here and a couple there and a couple over there and a couple over there and a couple back.
Next thing you know,
there.
you've raised that extra dollar.
Yeah.
Joe and I and Ian were working with the budgets. It's always, okay, can we stick with what we've got? And could, you know, like at the transfer station, do we gain any benefit from some of the stuff we're doing? Does it reduce the amount going out to the trash or so forth? So we tried to balance out stuff, and we managed to keep the tax rate the same, or really close to the same, for 3 years. I don't think that's going to happen this next year. I think the highway department's going to have to be helped out some, because
Yeah, well,
poor town's got hammered.
at the very least, we have those 0% interest loans coming from the state. But
Yeah, but it's still a loan that we have to
So-
Yeah,
take
have to
out
pay it
and we
back.
have to then pay back.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, there's no such thing as free lunch.
No. No, definitely not. Yeah, so I think it just comes down to really.
Let's just keep
figuring
it
out-
as economical or as fiscally responsible as possible is the way I like to think about it.
We know we need this, and the townspeople also, I think, are beginning to understand the necessity behind having this type of communication. So.
And that will only grow once the
Once-
broadband comes in. So,
Once we get some idea, I think if we can just get them out and running. When are we getting that? When's that?
I don't know.
It's been 2
heard nothing
years.
from them, other than the fact it was gonna be within 2 years.
Yeah. That's
It'll
fine.
be brought into town within the next 2 years. You have to be very careful that you
Yeah,
read the actual word.
Yep, it will be
So it
brought to
doesn't
the
mean
town,
it
it will
will
touch
be-
the town.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it's gonna be on Rocky Bound and the Brook Road and Brighton.
then they have to go through the build out. So
Correct.
it will be here in 2 years, but the build out might take another 2 to
2 to
5
5 years. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, be reasonable.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right, so I think, again, I'm gonna go ahead and get you on as an admin. Remove Christie, you're already an admin
Yep,
on the website. I think if we can all just look at the email, everywhere around, see what we can find. They'll send you an email so you can log in and create a password. Then there's some help stuff if you want to take a couple of little YouTube classes. And then we'll start going. You and I can start building the town
Yeah, we'll start working.
clerk page.
What I'll do is I'll start working on building the tabs out, at least on the town clerk one. And then we'll probably meet again before we start building out the tax collector stuff, starting doing that cross-referencing that we talked with the assessing page and the select board page, and just making sure that we have that information
Yep.
readily available on the website.
Yeah, because all the assessing stuff should be on the select board because they are the
They are the-
assessors.
They are the assessors. So the only thing is, are we, at least with you sending me like minutes and stuff to be posted and whatever?
I'll just do that. Well, I think we still need to post it in the town.
Absolutely. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. So keep emailing me, and then as soon as you do that, I'll start working it into like my workflow, like, hey, it's 5 days after a meeting, I don't have stuff, reaching out to you and then uploading it as you send it to me. So if you're like, okay, I'm not, because you're probably trying to get out of here at 8:30 at night, just being like, okay, let me just wait for this to upload,
Yeah.
especially if there's a cloud overhead
Yeah,
at the
no,
town.
I cannot. be
At the town
up here.
office, okay, yeah.
My
it's-
internet at home is.
And I'll do
mine-
the same thing
and
when
if
it comes to
I
calendar.
need to do
events.
something,
Okay,
I've got a
Okay, great.
5
Oh.
Verizon, so I just fire that up, communicate cellular wise,
yeah,
because I got great cell service from my house.
See, I have no cell service, but I
Yeah.
have great internet.
sidebar, I don't.
We've all figured out how to do stuff.
Yep, yeah, no choice. All right. So, you want to meet again in a month, or you want to meet in?
Yeah, because I'll be on the other side of the tax stuff.
Yep,
Yeah, you're gonna get busy.
I'm,
Then-
there's 3 deposits back there. I'm texting Angela when I leave.
Yep.
But I have to wait until I get home. Because my phone it doesn't want to talk to Android people.
Do you want me to text her?
No, that's okay. Text her, it's fine.
Okay.
I just wait until I hit lever.
Don't text and drive.
It's only Lover and Hill Road. I mean, come on.
I mean, what are you gonna do? Slide off and hit some trees?
all right. So what's a good day for you guys?
Wednesdays are a little weird for me because sometimes that can fall on the last day that I'm open, I mean, it can fall on any day, now that I think about it.
Wednesdays are always the last day you're open.
Yeah,
Yeah, but for the month,
Oh, so we could do mid-month instead of end of month.
yeah.
and we can do a Monday.
Yeah, well, Mondays.
A lot of
Mondays,
people don't, if Mondays work.
Mhm.
That's where we originally were gonna meet, but then the rivers were rising in the road.
And I'm a nervous Nelly.
No, I am. agreed with
No,
you.
well, that's, yeah, you guys don't need to leave and then try and get back home and realize you can't.
Right,
Walk up the hill in the dirt and the mud, and
Yeah.
the rain and the dark, no.
no, thank you. So August, the week of the 14th will work for me,
That,
but the before and the after won't.
if we're gonna do it on Monday, that works. Tuesday works, Wednesday works. Because this is, this time of the year where we go running off to our competitions all over the place.
Okay, so let's say August 14th, 7 PM work,
Can we do 6:30?
6:30 works.
I can do 6.
How about 6:25?
I can make it here for 6:30. I can't guarantee 6 o'clock, but I can do 6:30.
Once in a while, I've had people purposely call meetings at odd times
Yeah.
just to get people's attention.
I'm sorry, this is August the,
14th. Cool.
And I will do some checking to see what I can come up with for information as well. I'm gonna have to get
yeah,
some-
is there an email that works best for you? Just, to be able to contact you, or should we just
You're gonna
use?
get a fancy card.
Oh,
Send it to the town clerk.
thank you, sir.
I think you've got mine
To the town
anyways.
clerk.
Yeah. Oh, no, you've changed it.
I don't feel like having it kill me.
Okay, cool. I just use your cell phone, but yes.
Oh, you text me, yeah.
Yeah,
You,
I still have it. It's the Chelsea kid, right?
yeah, that's my alias for Cowboy Action Shoot.
That's
excellent.
fun. Between the belt and everything else, yeah. I think I got that. Okay, awesome. All right, so we'll see you
Okay.
August 14th at
Sounds
6:30.
good.
And I'm gonna sign back in and start getting refamiliarized. I'm probably gonna.
I hate that it's not, that Civic Plus isn't like WYSIWYG, like you're not building on the page and you can see everything.
No.
Kind of like switching back and
Yeah.
forth between the live view, that part, I'm just like,
I have
it breaks my brain. Oh. So you cheat.
I cheat. I have the website here and I have what I'm building right here.
Yep,
I save
so that you can
then
see
I
it and it
refresh
pops up.
Yeah.
And if I go
Okay.
up on our bigger